If you're a Disney buff, there's one thing that makes Europe even more magical. It's fairy tale-themed attractions. I'm sure most of us are familiar with the tales of Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Snow White that have been turned into movies and theme parks. If you're anything like me, then you dream of visiting these places at least once in your lifetime. And if you've ever dreamed about visiting the cobblestone streets of Paris, France, to the Fantasia atmosphere of Angel Falls, and discovering so much history behind each ancient structure and breathtaking flora, it's surprisingly easy to do. This video is about the top 8 fairy tale places you must visit in Europe. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode as you will learn new things about some of the world's most fantastic places even nature can't explain. Now let's go. Here are the top 10 fairy tale places you must visit in Europe. Colmar, France. If you've ever watched Amélie and wished you could live in a town like Montmartre, Colmar is the place for you. This charming French city boasts a stunning medieval center and an even more beautiful location on the banks of the Rhine. It's also the perfect representation of a city that makes its residents happy. The residents of Colmar have been named some of the happiest people in France. Colmar is full of boutiques, cafes, and food markets, but it's best known as one of France's most picturesque Christmas markets. Its 2 main streets are decorated with giant Christmas trees and fanciful wooden toys. The stalls are filled with local delicacies such as honey almond nougat, biscuits de Noël, Christmas cookies, and gingerbread, a big part of the Christmas spirit. At Colmar centers around charity. Since 1943, the city has been collecting donations for those in need during the holiday season. As a result, it has one of the highest rates of charitable giving in all of France. Neuschwanstein Castle, Germany. When you're traveling, it's easy to get swept up in the idea of hitting all the landmarks that every guidebook tells you to see. After all, they're famous for a reason. They're iconic, they're beautiful, and they have a story. But when you visit Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany, be sure to take some time to explore the surrounding countryside. The town is small, but it's filled with beautiful flowers and trees. It's especially picturesque when snow starts falling. Neuschwanstein Castle is one of the most beautiful places in Europe. It's a must-see the next time you visit Germany. The castle was commissioned by Ludwig II of Bavaria, and construction began in 1869. Ludwig never got to see his creation finished, though he died in 1886 at the age of 40. Despite its unfinished state, Neuschwanstein has served as a major tourist attraction for nearly 100 years. The castle was built in an ornate style that resembles a medieval castle, but with Gothic Revival architecture and Rococo elements from before the Renaissance era. The interior has lavish furnishings inside rooms with intricate wood carvings and paintings by Franz von der Frecker. Santorini, Greece. Santorini, Greece is one of the most magical places in the world. The island is a cluster of white cubes built upon the black cliffs of an active volcano. Walking around the town is like being in a dream. It's ethereal and surreal. It was built by ancient Greeks around 3,000 years ago. The ruins of ancient buildings still reflect off the water between the 2 main islands that make up the city. It is a beautiful Greek island in the Mediterranean Sea, a popular vacation spot for Europeans. It's also known for its black sand beaches and picturesque villages that look like they're straight out of the movies. The island is a bit touristy, so you won't get much in the way of authentic culture or food, but with such dramatic scenery, it's still worth a visit, or even 2, if you can swing it. Mont Saint-Michel, France. In contrast to Santorini's dreamy feel is Mont Saint-Michel, which is located on a tidal island in northern France. In medieval times, when boats with sails were the only way to travel across bodies of water, this location was extremely strategic because it was easily accessible to many different ports and countries. The monastery that sits atop of Mont Saint-Michel has been standing since 886 AD, and its architecture has remained unchanged over the centuries. As you walk around the town, you'll feel as if you've been transported back in time, and you might catch some monks singing or chanting. Their voices carry across the wind and sound almost angelic as they float over you. Sintra, Portugal. Sintra, Portugal is a city with a storybook-worthy history that dates back to the 11th century. It's also home to a UNESCO World Heritage Site called Sintra Cascais Natural Park, which covers over 600 square miles of forested hills and historic monuments like castles and palaces. The park is where you'll find the city of Sintra, which is about 30 minutes outside of Lisbon by car. Sintra has a fairy tale castle that was originally constructed in the year 1000 for King Denis I of Portugal. This castle is on top of a mountain, Serra de Sintra that overlooks the city below and the ocean beyond. It's said to have inspired J.R.R. Tolkien's work on The Lord of the Rings, and it's even rumored to be where Cinderella lived before meeting her prince. Peel's Castle, Romania. This is a gorgeous 19th century castle in Romania that has over 400 rooms, 60 of which are decorated to reflect the styles of bygone eras from throughout European history. From the 18th century salon to the arabesque bedroom, you can travel through time in Peel's Castle and see what life was like in different parts of Europe during various decades. From its extravagant architecture to its stunning location on the shore of Lake Sinia, a short walk from the ski slopes, Peel's Castle is a top attraction for visitors to Romania, and it's an easy day trip from Bucharest. Venice, Italy. Venice is one of the most enchanting places I've ever been. It's like stepping into a dream. The water taxis splash their way through canals that are covered in rose-hued oil paint, and old ladies with cloaks over their heads open tiny shops in the middle of the night, selling gondola decals and miniature models of all the great landmarks to be found there. Venice is known as the floating city, and it's a very well-deserved nickname. Venice is unique among the cities in Europe and is unlike any city in the world. It was founded on more than 100 small islands in a shallow lagoon by people who were fleeing from wars, overpopulation, and high taxes. What started as several small communities has since grown into one of the most beautiful cities in Italy. The main part of Venice is on the island of San Marco, which is where you'd likely stay if you visited this amazing city. As you explore the island, you'll find many canals which are lined with beautiful buildings that have been around for hundreds of years. Navigating the streets of Venice can be confusing since some parts seem to be flooded while others are perfectly dry. You'll need to make sure that you're wearing good shoes so that you don't get your feet wet while walking through the city streets. But there are also many bridges that will lead you across the water to other parts of the city so that you don't get completely lost. As beautiful as it is during the day, Venice is especially amazing at night. Glenfinnan Viaduct, Scotland. The Glenfinnan Viaduct was built in 1901 to accommodate the new West Highland Railway and is best known, along with the Hogwarts Express train that runs across it, as the site of the battle between Harry Potter and the evil wizard Voldemort in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The bridge, which is 400 feet tall and spans a deep gorge, was used because its appearance fit so well into the descriptions of Hogwarts in the books. Just like at Hogwarts, you can walk onto the viaduct and take in its magnificence, as well as enjoy a bit of history from when it was used for filming. Visitors are always blown away by this amazing feat of engineering. The viaduct carries trains 110 feet above Loch Shiel. It was built in 1901, but it looks much older than that. It's made out of wood and stone and has a fairy tale quality to it as you approach it along the loch side. Conclusion: if you're planning a trip to Europe's most fantastic regions and you don't want to miss the chance to see the sites where some of your favorite fairy tales were set, here are the top locations you absolutely must visit. You can start with these and then build out from there to see as much of Europe as possible. Some of these places have been featured in multiple stories. That's because they're so iconic that they have to be visited at least twice.